Hey, you guys, it's your girl Ashley Támar, and I'm so excited for this town hall meeting because I get to talk with some beautiful, accomplished women who have set a bar. Like when I met each one of them, they all just like challenged me to be a better woman in any kind of way. This is our first time talking together, but we really wanted to talk about being a Black woman, a female, and constantly evolving in the entertainment business. So first, I would like to introduce my longtime friend, Carolyn Owens, who I've not seen since middle school. And I saw her on a live stream and I was like, wait a minute, I know her. And she is doing amazing things as a music supervisor. So please welcome Miss Carolyn Owens. And then I want to introduce, she's like the sorority sister that just keeps on like just climbing the ladder. I'm so proud of her. She's a singer, she's a Broadway actress, nominee for Tony Awards. She's in some new shows coming out. I'm so proud of her. Her name is Patrice Covington. And then last but not least, I met this. So it's crazy. We'll talk about this later, how I met Maya. She does legal now at a major television studios, per se, production house. But I met her on working with that damn Michael Che, and we were emailing each other forever. And one day I was like, I'm going to call her. And when I heard her voice, I was like, ooh, she sounds like she is like one of us. And come to find out she is. And her name is Maya Day.
Hi, everyone.
All right, so we're gonna dive into it. You guys start with who wants to start with telling their journey and how you got to where you are. We really want to talk about a call to action with the challenges of evolving in this entertainment business, not just like as a female, but as a woman. I mean, as a Black woman, and it's not like a disparities conversation to complain, but we've solved some things, but it's been a challenge solving them still to this day. So whoever wants to start, let's start talking about it and let's dive right into it.
I'll start because I'll be quick. Started off as a church kid who hated singing in the church, went to college, joined a band, started work in the music business, and then backtracked, if you will, to continue to perform. Moved from Chicago to Los Angeles to start my specific career in music licensing, stopped singing, started again, started doing music supervision for a lot of major programs and such, and now I just do all of it. So that's me in a nutshell.
That's a lot though, because when you start to explain what you really do,
I can do it.
Okay, we got to keep it short, right? So, okay, let's see. On a sunny Friday in May in 19. No.
I'm not. See, I'm not.
No, I always dreamt of being on Broadway. That was like my thing. Had to do it. Bunch of theater productions leading up to Broadway and Broadway tours, which is where I met Ashley Támar on Motown the musical, which I cannot believe was so long ago now. And then did all that stuff, all the Broadway things for a while. Moved to LA 3 times before it stuck. I'm here now. And a couple years ago, a few years ago, I was on tour with several different artists singing background for Jennifer Hudson, Christina Aguilera, and Stevie Wonder. And then while I was on tour with Christina Aguilera, I booked my first series regular TV show, which was Genius Aretha, where I played Irma Franklin, her very sassy and fabulous sister. And we shot that in Atlanta. That came on. Wonderful things happened with that. And I just recently shot A League of Their Own, which is based off the 90s movie that so many people love. There was no Black people in it. So now there are. We're in it. And it's really, really cool. My storyline is wild. I'm really excited to share that aspect with the world. And then now I'm pounding the pavement. It's time for another job, please. Just auditioning all the time and creating music for I just did some placements on some Lifetime Christmas movies and Married at First Sight, things like that. Just super random, but yes.
That's not random, girl. That's amazing. We're learning too for the first time.
I love Married at First Sight, so I'm happy for you about that. But again, my name is Maya. I will keep my journey super short. I was one of those kids who always really loved the idea of being a lawyer. I was obsessed with Judge Judy, all that great jazz growing up, and found my way to entertainment law by thinking about simply what my passion was and merging that with the law. So I went to Howard Law and focused primarily on entertainment, and all my internships really were geared toward that. And my first internship was with BET in the Business and Legal Affairs Department. Actually, when I was in undergrad, I started there, and it was like the true real life Wakanda. Everybody from the top to the bottom was Black, and it was like, oh my God, this is it. So I was chasing that feeling, kept chasing it. And when I graduated, I was afforded the opportunity to go to a law firm and do production work, which is where I met Ashley, and was able to serve as production counsel for various shows and films, such as Resort to Love, a Black lady sketch show, seasons 1 through now 3, Z-Way's project, Sam J's project, Michael Che, and a couple of other things. And now, as I would say, I've returned home to BET, where I am counsel on the unscripted team.
You guys, I'm trying not to be a little emotional over here because like I knew why I wanted to talk to y'all, but now it's making sense. Number one, you guys are saying you followed your passion, but I know with Maya and I, it was a thing like, this is something I want us to talk about. Why is it at this point in our careers that we're still shocked to either see all of us in a building, or when we see each other, we're like, hey, and then, because that's what happened with Maya and I called her and I was like, okay, I didn't want to say it. I was like, are you Black? Did I say something like that?
You were like, are you? And then once you said, are you? I was like, yep. And then we connect.
So I guess the question is like, how does that make us feel? Like, why do you guys still think we're still so shocked to see us in powerful positions? And I know I'm sure Patrice and Carolyn, you can speak to this. People are like, I'm so proud of you. You're still going. And sometimes you're like, what was I supposed to do? Stop? You know what I mean? I don't know if it's a myth or what with Black women, but maybe one of you guys can open up that conversation about that.
I think I'm still surprised when it happens because I spent probably my first 5 years in the industry trying to fit in with them, if that makes sense. And once you work so hard to fit in with them, experiencing someone who's fully in their Black womanhood and still in that high position and still able to speak the way they speak to their girlfriends in the office, obviously not, not outside of what we're supposed to be doing, our jobs, but when you see that freedom in a position that you would like or are seeking, you remind yourself, hey, I think I'm faking this thing a little bit, just a little bit. And I might need to allow myself to be myself. If I'm going to continue to do this, I might want to be myself. And so I know that for me, that's why it was a surprise early on in my career. Now I'm like, duh, the successful people are the Black people who just decided I'm going to be myself and I'm going to find people like me and we're going to be successful together. Whether we actually executive produced a project or whether I came in and helped someone who was starting out, we're going to find each other and we're going to make sure we pull each other up because we deserve to be here, period.
You're muted.
Hey, Mari, you're muted.
I always do that. I know this is a question for all of us. Were you guys brought into your industries referred by someone of color?
No, well, I wasn't. No, I mean, I definitely was inspired by women of color, especially for theater. Like, I remember the day that I realized that I could do this for a living, which was just seeing like I grew up in Virginia. And so we do have a lot of amazing musicians and, of course, athletes, but we didn't really have like a theater person, that I really could look up to, except for this woman named Nita Booth, who was on the Mickey Mouse Club. I don't know if you guys remember that, but Nita Booth literally used to babysit me. And I realized that I could do it because of her. Now, she started at a young age, but then she really continued to do all those things. And I was inspired by a Black woman to keep going and do it because I could see what she was doing. But not until I began to see Broadway shows of my own going not even in New York, but on tours, when I would see shows with like the one Black girl, the token Black girl. And I'm like, oh, well, I can be this and that show, but there's only one role for me, you know. So it was not as encouraging as it was to see some of the other positions in this industry or just any other industry, because there was only one role. There's this all white show and there's this one Black woman who, and then, you know, I would have to learn all the Black songs and all those shows so that I, you know, could know what I needed to learn to be able to book those jobs, which wasn't very many.
But how do we really get past this threshold of like, we still see that the pay gaps for Black women, and I think what bothers me a lot is the fact that we still have to bring up color. You know what I mean? Like, Maya, maybe you can speak about it from the legal side. You know, like Maya was talking about, she's looking for a legal assistant, and the first thing I thought about was like, dang, is there any young kid that I could refer her way? You know what I mean? Because there's certain qualities, you guys all know, in everything that we do. Like, why do you guys still think that is? Like, I feel like we're still there. We're just still there. Do y'all feel, well, this is the question. Do y'all feel that there's other young Black females that you wish you could train but don't show the qualities that they want to be trained? Maybe that's a question that I should ask.
Yeah, I feel like for me, I get a lot of LinkedIn messages. Like, I even opened up a Calendly account just for young law students, young attorneys, Black women trying to get into the industry. And I do that often. And it was my way of like pouring into the next generation, or even, you know, people who are coming up. But I feel that, you know, when I do these calls, I look for a certain thing. Like, without people asking me, I take mental notes and I say, okay, you know, this person is asking me the good questions, asking what they can do, you know, for me, not just asking, you know, asking for the handout or the job. And when that opportunity presents itself, I make sure that I align myself and align them in a position where, you know, if I'm, for example, at my previous firm, I was in charge of the internship program, and it was a young lady who reached out to me in COVID. So I never met her in real life, and was very interested in what I did. She was in law school, and I believed in her just by the way she presented herself and followed up. And I said, listen, we're doing an internship program. If you send me your resume and, you know, all looks well, I won't even open the internship up. Like, it'll be a one resume deal. I will present it to the partners. You know, if I do this, you have to show up and show and prove. So it was a big risk, definitely, that I was willing to take, you know, for us. And I did. And she, you know, showed up as my instincts were right. She showed up and really showed out. And when it came time to ask for, like, you know, that stamp for her to be an associate, I was like, yes, she should be an associate. And thankfully, before I left, I was able to make sure that she came on as another Black associate and then brought somebody else in before I left. So I think, you know, like you said, it goes down to being uncomfortable with being the only one in the room, but also being so uncomfortable that you fix it before you make that adjustment or move on to the next. So, you know, when you see somebody with the opportunity, it's always good to just pour back and help out when you can.
I'm always super inspired by like Issa Rae and the way that she brought everybody with her, you know. I was not around. Someone shared with me their experience. They had an intimate experience with her and like a lot of her friends and a lot of the cast members, and everybody was like, you know, Issa brought me on. I've known her since then. Also, Lena Waithe did the same thing. You know, they just took a lot of people with them, much like what you're saying, which is a risk because sometimes, you know, we be wanting stuff more for people than they want it for themselves. And you get all hyped about it. You hyping people up about them and their talent and their abilities. And then they literally don't even return the email or the call, you know, and I feel silly, you know, and I'm like, well, I'll never do that again. But I love the way that these Black women have, outside of what they've created, because we all know those things are amazing, but like to what you're saying, just bringing more people with us. And so I always say, like, if I have the ability to give somebody a job, one of my Black girlfriends, you coming with me, like, because we all we got, truly.
That part.
Carolyn, did you want to say something to it before I move on?
That's really good. I think to Patricia's point, the idea of an Issa Rae is what I've always wanted to do. And I always would tell, especially my mother and other people in the industry who would say, you know, you should go and sing for this person, or you should ask if you can meet this person. I started my career at CBS at Entertainment Tonight and The Insider. I have met every celebrity, had conversations with them, had meals with them that I would ever need to meet in the music industry, but even in the movie industry, I'd have met everybody. And I would always tell my mother, I'm the opportunity. Like, I'm the one who's supposed to run the business, who's supposed to give the jobs to the other people. I am not here to ride on other people's coattails and act as though I don't have a vision. And the only way the industry is going to change is if we stick to our vision, that we don't think that we can substantiate ourselves because we had this gig with certain people, although that is essential, right? To have mentors and to have people who have blazed trails and build those relationships, but also to create something new that says, this is a whole different vision and y'all better come and see what it's about, because it's going to not only pull a lot of people up that you've never seen, it's going to tell a new story, it's going to create a new path. You know, when you think about, I just want to say Follow the Yellow Brick Road, but what's the name of the movie? Y'all help me.
The Wiz, The Wizard of Oz.
We're going to say The Wiz.
We're going to say The
Yeah,
Wiz.
The Wiz.
We're going to say The Wizard of Oz. We're going to say The Wiz. But, you know, just getting on the path and knowing that you're trying to get something, right? Not trying to pull other people's vision, but knowing, like, I know what I need to build, so let me go and seek that out. We may be 4 or 5 different Black women, but we all have certain things we're trying to fulfill on this yellow brick road or whatever. And I don't know, that has always been my thing. You know what I mean? I try not to talk about all the people I've worked with and all the companies I've worked with and everything like that, because I'm thinking, I'm music for scenes. I'm the one who's creating the custom music. I'm the one who's hiring female songwriters and producers to come and create new songs for Viacom and for BET and for all of these. I'm the one who's doing it. I don't want to talk about the other people who already have clout that y'all already know, because I'm trying to make sure people I brought in, you start knowing their names. That's more important to me. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. And so I love the idea of Issa Rae. I'm so glad you brought her up, Patrice.
Yeah, you the plug though, Carolyn. And I also love the fact that you said that you're the opportunity, you know, like, because apparently one time I was called an opportunist, right?
And wait. I was just about to ask that question. So you can answer. Hold on. I was just about to ask that question. You guys, in my phone, I have the question. I've written it 2 years ago. What is the difference between being an opportunist and taking advantage of an opportunity? So Patrice and Carolyn, you guys literally opened up that door. So I'm ready to hear y'all's answer.
Yeah, I'll gladly be an opportunist, because I'm not going to not take advantage of something that someone is giving to me. Now, I think take advantage of someone, or like only wanting to be around someone for what they can do for you, that's a negative type of opportunist. But yeah, if an opportunity comes to my plate, or if I can go somewhere and network myself and show who I am and my brand and sing or whatever, I am 100%. I'll be that. I'll be the opportunist, because I'm not silly. And I think that we all, we need each other to get up. Like, you need each other to help you get to the next level. I've never, I take that back. Not never. The jobs that I do get because of my talent and my hard work, sure. But I do have somebody to vouch for me. I have agents, I have lawyers, I have all those things, people who can, or acting coaches who can vouch for my character, who can vouch for my punctuality, my professionalism. And they are the ones that help me get the opportunity even a little bit further, you know? So I'll always be an opportunist, I feel. And being called in a negative way, I think I wish it would just end, because unless it's about, oh, you only want to come over here because that's different. But to take advantage of an opportunity when someone's giving it to help you move along, I'll always be that.
But it's always great to me. Like, if someone invites you to something and you just stand around looking around and you've yet to just meet people, I think it's just the most blurred lines of a discussion, because you can't invite someone somewhere and then all of a sudden they get a contact that you've known forever. I think people really feel like they control the narrative. Like, if you came to my event and you met someone and now y'all are hanging out, then people have this powerful, and I think that's the part that just always has bothered me. It's like, what you think I was gonna do? Come here and then go to you and say, so hey, Master, can I introduce myself to Maya? Can we exchange information? Are you okay if we hang this weekend? I think that's the problem, that I think it just needs to stop altogether. And like you said, everything is built by building together. You know what I mean? So that's just interesting. You guys brought that up. Did you
That's
want
what
to say
other
something?
cultures have been doing forever.
Forever. I mean, I was just telling somebody recently, this young girl is like a wardrobe stylist for one of the biggest rock bands. And I was like, oh, how did you get it? She's like, my grandfather. I said, well, what do you do? She's like, I just clean the clothes. And I said, so now you're the wardrobe stylist because you're cleaning the clothes? But I wasn't mad because her grandfathered her into this position, you know, and she's making crazy money at 20 years old. Like, you can't be mad at it. You can't, you know.
I personally feel like the difference is knowing where the source comes from, right? If you truly believe that God gave you a vision, then you know at any time he could pull me in to do something I'm supposed to do. And as long as you have that clarity, wherever you are is an opportunity. So you're supposed to be an opportunist because you're supposed to know, oh, this is when I need to ask for, someone's information. Or this is when I need to mention someone else, whatever it may be. I'm an opportunist, but I'm an opportunist for everybody. I'm an opportunist for God's vision. And so when you have that view of it, it's not personal no more. Right. And no one else should take it personally. I'm going to be very, very successful. And I'm going to make sure the people I know are very, very successful. Call me an opportunist. That's what I'm supposed to do. Yeah. I'm not here to just look cute and be like, I did a little bit.
That's true. That is so true. So can you guys talk about some of the myths before we wrap this up? Like, what are some of the things you may still deal with? And give an example of maybe how you solved it, especially for young people in this entertainment business, because it's always something. I was just on the phone. I don't want to call my brother out, but he's the head of a department, and this is new for him. But the first thing that I told him to answer the question is, you got to take your emotions out of it. So who wants to second that and tell what your solution is to problems that we constantly deal with? Microaggression, like I have to remove the emotion out of it, but who has something to say about that? Tell a problem maybe that you encountered and how you solved it.
Okay, so I definitely encountered that, I would say, at the firm level. I started out at a firm, and I was the only Black person at the firm and the only woman. So coming from just graduating law school, I, was thankful that I went to Howard Law, and I was nurtured by Black attorneys, Black men and women who poured into me throughout my whole internship and early legal career. So when I was in that space, it's very hard when you graduate to get out of that space of like an imposter syndrome, or you shouldn't be here, because law school doesn't necessarily teach you how to be an attorney. So when I came into the firm and I realized I was the only one, it was almost like, wow. I didn't know really what I was doing. I didn't feel like I fit in. When we were having conversations at the firm, I didn't know the white actors. I didn't know the white movies they were discussing. I didn't know any of that. And it really impacted my work. It impacted everything that I was producing. And I had to have with another one of my Black mentors. I feel like she's a mentor and a sponsor for me throughout my whole legal career. We had a come to Jesus moment, and she was like, listen, you are prepared and you're meant to be there. So show up, be 100% you, and see what happens. So one day I literally woke up and said, I'm going to give this a second shot, and I'm going to give it to them 100% how I am. So we were talking, I think it was about movies and everyone's favorite movies. And I said, my favorite movie Set It Off. And it was a long silence. Nobody spoke, and no one really had saw the movie. So I'm going back and forth on the plot of the movie, and I'm explaining. I'm like, everyone's homework this weekend is to go home and watch Set It Off. So I started doing that, really putting myself out there. I started taking only projects roughly that had Black actors, Black people behind it. And I started putting my foot down, and they would laugh and joke and say, oh, Maya doesn't want to be on the project because there's not a Black person, or there's not, Black people behind it. And I would say, yep, sure did. And it was like, you have to make other people feel as uncomfortable they almost made you feel in these spaces. So I think, I really, what I learned in that situation was, and how I entered this new role. Thankfully, my team is majority Black now, and Black women, snaps to that. I present myself no matter where I am, fully myself. And I think that's the lesson of it all. Like whether you're in a predominantly white space, whether you are in a predominantly Black space, just present yourself as who you are, no matter what. And that was really my takeaway, and what I really hope that, you know, the next generation of attorneys, and hopefully I fostered that on my way out to the new associates, to really be themselves, because that's why you're in that space, and you know your steps are already ordered, so just walk into them.
I'll go. That was excellent, Maya Day.
Thank you.
Super excellent. So wow, 10 years ago, I was in this Broadway show called The Book of Mormon. And during my rehearsals of this show, I was going through a whole lot in my household, like a really unhealthy relationship. The only reason why I was getting up and coming to rehearsal was because God strategically put my very best friend in the show with me. And she was literally gathering me like, bitch, you need this job. Come on, let's go get this Book of Mormon money. And I've never really been the person that's kind of like in somebody's face as far as like the creative team. Like I already got the job. We all here. We're peers at this point. As far as I'm concerned, we're creating. You're going to teach me the roles. But some people like to be like, you know, in people's face. And I naturally am not, but I really wasn't then. But I didn't have an attitude. I just wasn't in their face. I wasn't super like, you know, chummy or whatever. And I remember one day I called the stage manager, who's now a very dear friend of mine. And I was like, listen, I need this job. I was feeling judged or whatever. So I called him at night and I said, listen, I need this job. I was like, but I'm going through a whole lot. I just need you to bear with me. And he was like, okay, great. No problem. I was in that show for 18 months, changed my life. Some of my greatest friends, I became this Patrice while I was in that show, right? Which is a very dope Patrice, much better than the old one. And then a friend of mine that I met during that show several years later, so that was in 2012, maybe in 2017-ish, so like five years later, after I'd done the show for 18 months now, let's not forget. And it was a wonderful experience. We had the best times. This friend calls me and says, he asked me about doing a show in Australia, the same show in Australia. And I was like, well, I don't know, you know, like, I guess I'd be open to it. I'm not really trying to go to Australia. He was like, well, also like, whatever happened with you in Dreamgirls? They were trying to bring Dreamgirls back, same director. And I was like, well, I don't know, because I got called back and, you know, I had a wonderful experience. The director did this, and that. And he says, oh yeah, he told me that he would never hire you again because he remembers your attitude during the Book of Mormon rehearsals. If you want to read more about that story, I wrote a whole blog on medium.com several years ago and it was called Angry Black Woman and I Ain't Even Mad. I literally had the best times of my life during that show. And this person, the director, they're never there, Tamar. You know that. Like, we don't ever see the director ever again. We see them in rehearsals and that's it, until they come do a brush up every once in a while. But this man doesn't know me. And the stage manager is one of my dearest friends who supported me so much. But this man has power. And he made it so that I could never work for his shows again. So, you know, all of that to say that the judgment that I received going, like, you know, we see other people going through things, white women, white men, we know, well, how can I help you? Do you need anything? Or what's going on? Let's talk after rehearsal. I never got any of that. Nobody ever knew what was going on. I just was the angry Black woman who literally never had any conflict with anybody. I was on time. My best friend made sure I was on time and that I was even eating, you know, like, it was a time. So to have been judged and then blackballed, and now I'm so grateful that my career has continued to progress, because that really hurt me. And to not know about it for 5 years later, you know, I had no idea that this was even happening. So I do feel really blessed, but also just, you know, bringing awareness to the fact that that is still a thing, unfortunately. You know, if we are not in the same, you know, level of communication or energy that other people may be, we don't get the same respect or consolation or whatever that anybody else may get when they're going through real human things. The end.
I just want to cap this on a positive note. I have been extremely lucky as a Black female mother of 3 children now, to have a lot of Black men elevate me, be understanding towards me, and save my life in some instances. I won't go into too many stories, but one story I don't think I've ever told, and I'm getting uncomfortable about it because clearly I'm supposed to tell it now. One of my first gigs out in Chicago, live music, the live scene. I'm a college student, yeah, I'm saying many, many years ago. And I drank. Because I'm not a lush and I don't know how to drink. And I was new to this. And I got drunk after one of my shows. And the DJ there that night took me to his home, changed my clothes, let me sleep in his bed. He did not sleep in his bed. Woke me up, used my phone, because this is before, you had fingerprints and face prints and everything like that. You could just pick up somebody's phone and look at the last number they called my friends and waited for them to come. I never saw that man again. I know now that he's a principal. I am saying that because clearly I was supposed to tell that story. That was not in the plan. That had nothing to do with the question that you asked. But I want to remind, if there are any Black men watching, or if there are any Black men that you guys know that may not be acting the way you need them to act, there are positive experiences to be had for you. Do not stop singing, performing, recording, writing songs because of an experience you had with somebody, be it a Black man or a Black woman or anyone else. But I need to say that you will run into positive experiences with Black men. You will run into positive experiences with other Black women. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep your vision in the forefront, and it will happen. And it will make you cry when it happens, because you'll know God sent them. You didn't ask for them. You didn't make the right, the right phone calls. You didn't even know who they were. And you're like, how did I get this person? Right? So my first job at Entertainment Tonight, that was a Black line producer. Okay. One of the directors there was a Black man. I could go on and on. One of my closest collaborators right now is a Black man. I have a lovely father who has passed. And so my experience and the need for a Black man, even my ex-husband, we are no longer together, but he was one of my first collaborators who I had joined that band with. I just needed to say that. I don't know why. I hope it helps someone. I hope you heal. I hope you know that this is not the story of every experience you'll have. There are positive experiences to be had. So I don't know why I need to say that, but it has been said.
No, that's like making me, y'all know I'm an emotional being, but like this is very powerful. It makes sense why we're talking about it. From all the conversations, they're all different stories. And I think the biggest thing that I could say to sum it all up is a revelation that I had after working with one of the biggest artists was, and it was like God was reprimanding me to piggyback on what all you guys said was, don't trust the vessel as the provider. And I think once in all of our stories, we all kept going because no matter in the moment, you're crying, you're upset, it makes no sense, but then when you really stop and go back to prayer and God just keep opening doors, I think if we keep putting one foot before the other, that's the stuff that speaks volumes. Like, as artists, all three of us know, like there are people who will just say stuff and you won't even find out. Sometimes you'll never find out, at least Patrice, you found out eventually. It still hurt, but you still found out, and then it also allows you to operate in a different moment of gratitude. Like you hear it all the time, wake up and be grateful. But there's some days you just like, I don't understand this, God. Like my younger brother is dealing with this right now. And we kept saying, take a deep breath. Some stuff you just have to really pray in the spiritual realm for that thing to turn in the natural realm. And that's the reality. Some stuff you cannot even fathom what people do or don't do. You can't fathom why someone doesn't return a call, or if they do return a call, they're not being honest on the call. So I just really commend all of you guys for staying the course and being an example, still going. I appreciate you guys' friendship because I've learned so much from all of you guys. I know Carolyn and I stay on the phone forever. Patrice and she'll call up and be like, hey, I'm interested in this. Can you do this? And I'll be like, okay, do this, do this, do this. And she applies it. And I'm so proud of, because I remember she said, she's like, I want to do TV and film and I want to move to LA. I was like, move to LA, well, what is it like? I was like, girl, it's hard, but when you make it out here, you can, And then Maya, just to see you in the legal department and still going from a passion, I just commend you on that. And I cannot say enough, like how I am so appreciative that you guys said yes to this. I don't know if you have any last words that you want to pass on to the next generation. You're welcome to do so before we stop. But I just wanted to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you so, so much.
Thank you, darling. Thanks for having us. Today is, well, to us, even if it's just us four that do this, but whoever watches, hopefully, I don't know if we'll get it up today, but today is 2/2/22. Very, very powerful day to do a lot of manifestations, a lot of, just groundwork and creating the space and the energy and the life that you want to do. Like, we all have the power anyway, but like, it's super lit today. So write these things down, what the words say, write the vision, make it plain. Tamar, you know how I am about my vision boards. So that's in the making probably later this evening, but just create what you want today. Today is the day to do it. And don't be a star, be a galaxy or whatever,
Maya, Carolyn, did you want to have any last minute sayings?
I will just quickly say, the music business is a wonderful place. I think so many times people will, talk about, opportunists or, being taken advantage of or whatever. But this is the only place that something in your brain that same day could create something that changed your entire life. Everything else requires a whole bunch of R&D, somebody else, a trademark, all this other stuff. And we have technology now that literally allows us to take a dream and put it in wax within minutes. And it's a beautiful place to see that happen. So I pray that not only will you follow your dreams, but follow other people's dreams too, so you can see things happen and appreciate it and see God moving in other ways, because it just brings us all up and it reminds us when we do get taken advantage of, hey, that's not the whole story. Hey, there's another opportunity, another deal coming. Hey, I didn't get this, but I may get the next one. And if I don't, my homegirl gonna get it and I'm gonna cheer for her. We're gonna go have drinks and clink glasses, I just want to say that.
I guess my last point would be really to all the Black creatives. I know we're in a new space, we're in a new time, which I really enjoy, buy Black, support Black-owned businesses. But what I really want to urge a lot of creatives in this time is to also make sure that your teams are Black. That's important. As much as we're presenting in front of the camera, we want to make sure we're the people who advocate on your behalf behind the scenes. So you want to make sure, and far too often, I deal with a lot of talent, creatives, reps, and you can always tell when there's one of us at the table, how we get a deal done, and in fairness across the board compared to when others are on your team and advocating on your behalf. So there's resources, diverse representation has a catalog of agents, attorneys, creatives, and just is an amazing resource for people to make sure you build that team so that we can represent you guys in the best way and make sure that, your IP is supported and you don't get taken advantage of. So that's what we're here for. And that's specifically what I'm here for. So look forward to working with all of you. And I'm so, so blessed to be here.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Tay Tay.
No